What distinctive strengths do you believe women contribute to leadership? And now, how being a woman has influenced your approach to leadership?
Thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you for having me here. I think, firstly, super excited to be part of this wonderful tribe which we have at Antwerp. And cheers to all of us here, right? Sudhanshu, I think importantly, very importantly, I mean, the question which you firstly asked is so pertinent. And I think I have an amazing answer to this with some data-backed statistics to add in, right? Because I think it's so important to even have the entire world with statistics actually declaring that, hey, women bring in the most amazing element to a leadership role, right? So let me just share something before I kind of share my experience, right? What do stats tell us today? You look at a McKinsey report. This was a very old report which said that if there is a gender diversity in an organization, especially in the executive teams, the profitability of that company is more likely to be higher and as high as 21% more than what it could actually deliver by just having an executive team with having more women in it. So that's McKinsey report. Then there's BCG who says that a women team member can bring in more innovation, be it a product, be it a process, be it any function. They bring in more innovation and bring in higher revenue through those innovative approaches. So BCG says this also in their report. There's another report which Harvard talks about, which says that women make better collective decisions than male-dominated teams, right? Due respect, but this is some data and this is a research data by very strong research in the market and in the whole global worldwide world. So I think there's enough data and stats to say that women bring in a lot of element and substance to a leadership role, right? Now, as a senior woman leader, what I believe is, I think being a woman itself makes you strong. You have that innate strength, which is God's gift, and you have the ability to empathize with people and even communicate effectively. And I'm sure all my friends who are here on this call would agree with me that this is something which we are born with. And there's a lot of research and data which says that to lead effective organizations, powerful organizations, empathy and communication is a most critical lever. And women are born with it, right? So in my experience, I think as a woman, as a leader, this is something which I think every woman is born for, and every woman should really go and explore and take up leadership roles as and when they get their opportunity. And if they don't, they should create that opportunity for themselves because you were born with it. So Sudhanshu, that's my thoughts.
Hey, thank you, Sudhanshu. I think very well articulated with stats and data, very well put across. For me, I think there are two more skills which I would like to add in here. Of course, empathy, communication is something that we are born with, and we kind of interact with people, we try to understand their challenges. But what has actually worked for me, it's very interesting, and this is something I feel I have with time nurtured it, and I have also with time kind of enjoyed this skill to be part of me and my personality, which is building genuine relationships. This is something I feel I very closely relate to, because when I'm at work, I have built some really strong relationships within my team, with my peers, even outside of my organization. When I look for some kind of a support, and as and when required, I get it. it's all because of the genuine relationships that I have built in the process. So that's absolutely my number one favorite skill. Uh, Another thing, when I step back and when I look at the bigger picture, how these leadership roles I have kind of you know done justice to, I feel it's all about the mindset with which I have approached. Mindset to learn, mindset to embrace feedback for myself as well. It's not always as a leader you just keep giving feedback, but how do you embrace feedback, learn from it, and just reinvent the wheel to make the process, experience, and people better? So, yeah, the mindset and the relationship part are another two things which I would like to add in.
In this journey of leadership, of getting here, were there specific challenges that you encountered? And if you did, how did you navigate and overcome these obstacles?
Great. Thank you so much for the question, Sudhanshu. So, it's very shocking and starking that though a lot of women have started taking leadership roles, as per one of the global gender report, only 27% of managerial roles are managed by women. And that's a shocking stats, because there's so much that women can already bring into the table as leaders and managers, and I think it's important to understand the kind of challenges that women face when they're growing into these roles, right? One is, of course, the structural bias. And these biases are brought in when we are kids. Our parents bring into us that is, a girl is supposed to get married and a boy is supposed to go work. And it literally starts from there into structural biases where there are organizations that unconsciously do not hire women for higher roles, assuming that they will step out of that to be able to take care of their family commitments. There is no scope of work-life balance in a lot of organizations, because you are expected to be there 17, 18 hours a day, traveling half the time, wherein in our traditional systems, still women take a central role in their family commitments too, right? And of course, lack of mentorship and guidance. I think, for me personally, I've been bestowed with some really good mentors, women mentors through my life, who helped me grow professionally as well as understand or come over these biases professionally. And I think that sense of mentorship and sponsorship or guidance is something which is very quintessential to overcome some of these challenges.
What advice would you offer, women encountering stereotypes or bias in their professional journey?
Sure. So again, thank you, Sudhanshu. Lovely being here today, guys. See, for me, I'll take a step back. See, for me, these biases also start from when people don't, you're in a group and they choose not to listen, right? You go in a meeting with them, they forget to introduce you, right? As a woman leader, these biases happen on day-to-day basis. They don't need to be super critical, but you and a male, employee might be saying the same thing, but the value of what you say versus the other person says, there's a big difference. They're heard more than you. And I feel like I've got 4 or 5 things I feel like I can share from my own perspective that can help women leaders, I think, every single day. So I think the first should be, let this notion, don't let this notion navigate your excellence, because biases are going to exist and this is going to happen. Right? No workplace can be perfect. We can create our environment around us, we can work on it, but I feel these challenges are going to come, and they're going to come every single day. So don't let this notion navigate, your excellence. Second, I'll say that build your gravitas in such a way that your credibility speaks for itself. You don't need to really fight for it, but what you deliver on the stage, your gravitas and what you do, I feel, build them so strong that your credibility talks for itself, right? Then I've also written something that, third thing I think we should definitely
do is have a voice, have an opinion. Even though these biases they can come down on us and we can get demotivated. Time to time, I think we all have been through that where we felt that this wasn't right. But again, get up and have a voice, right? I also feel one of the most important things, and that helps me navigate. Sometimes, when you're not feeling up for it, is having your set of confidence at work or outside work. And I'm very lucky that at work and outside work, I have my group of women who literally tell me yes and no in a very legit format. They'll not sugarcoat it for me. They will be there saying, Reba, this is what you could have done better. Or no, take the stand. So a very legit yes and no is what that group of confidence can do for you. And I think the fifth point could be keep upskilling yourself. And I think women leaders have so much to offer, as Neha, Razina, Neha Tiwari, everybody have said that. Keep upskilling yourself, because I feel like one or two skills might not be enough. We, any which ways, have to strive harder to be where we are at workplaces. So keep making yourself fuller, work on your routines, and absolutely have a voice at work. And don't let anybody give you that excellence. Should just continue building on it. That's my advice on it.
Yeah. So thank you, Sudhanshu, for giving us this wonderful opportunity, and it's a pleasure to be here. I think Reba kind of articulated all the points very nicely on the stereotypes. Yes, it is. Just adding on to what Reba said, I think it's very, very important for women to feel very confident in their own skin. And there are stereotypes, there will be stereotypes, at least in the near future, till the time there is. See, the good thing is there is a lot of awareness now. Diversity is one of the key initiatives that a lot of organization is consciously looking at. But then there is still some time till till we bridge this gap. Until then, I think it is very important to speak for yourself, focus on your own performances, and not let these biases deter our confidence or determination. And I think more than advising women on tackling stereotypes, I think I would also like to give a little bit of advice to men, that create that space for women. Let them explore themselves, give them that platform, give them the opportunity. Don't tell that, okay, now you have gotten into motherhood, so maybe you will not have the time to do that. Let her figure it out. Don't put her into those brackets. Don't kind of tie her down on. Don't give her those ideas. Let her come up with her own path. Let her explore and navigate through her challenges and come out. Women are very resilient by nature. We are multitaskers. We are super strong physically and emotionally, let me tell you. So I think most of us have that will, most of us have the determination, but we also need, sometimes we are vulnerable and we need that support. So I think that is where I would ask men to support women at those junctures, which will be a huge step in breaking these stereotypes.
How crucial is it for women to have strong female role models in their journeys? How important it is to have somebody you can look up to? And you all spoke about having your own group of confidants, people that you can, a peer group, which is your sounding board, which is your advisory. But how important it is also to look up and say, this is where I want to go, and this is what I know. How do you draw? Is it important to draw inspiration from senior, strong female role models?
It's very, very important for all of us to draw inspiration from senior role models, whether she's from the same industry, or she's from an entertainment industry, or she's from a different industry altogether. But how the journey looks like, we should all look up to. But with all that being said, and the stats that Neha Tiwari spoke about, the percentage is very low, right? So then what do we do, right? So I think For me, honestly, the women role models I have looked up to, unfortunately, are the ones I have never interacted with. I have looked up to them, I have read their books, I have took inspiration from them, but I never got a chance to interact with them. So I think it will take time for the upcoming generation as well to actually interact with those women leaders in the organization. First of all, they have to exist in that environment. So for me, I when I step back, for me it is important to have role models in your life. Don't look for women or men. Look for role models in your life. That's the most important thing that you should be doing. You should be looking up to for people who understand your journey, who relate to your problems and challenges, and they are willing to handhold you, to lift you, to guide you. And that's where again I'll go back to my most favorite part of the attribute that I hold in myself, in true self, is building relationship with people, true genuine relationships, right? So I think for me it is important to have role models, whether they are men or women, but please have role models in your life. Look out for people who can help you, guide you, mentor you. And for the five of us, I think we should be the role models who we want to have in our lives, so that the upcoming generation can have us as our sounding board, as a support system. And I think that's all I have to put across on the table.
Where do you lie in women helping other women make this transition?
Absolutely. So, Sudhanshu, I think it's the reality that this happens with many women, right? It's not a smoother journey. It's a struggle. You have to create your space. Nobody creates that for you. You have to literally lay down that brick by brick staircase for you, to kind of get into that role and get into that position. So I totally empathize with the women who go through this, right? It's understandable. I mean, there's nothing wrong about it when you feel that, hey, I've gone through this struggle, and why should I even consider making it probably a little safer or easier for others, right? But I think my thought is very different. It's all the more important for me to now make sure that others don't go through the similar journey, right? Because there are systemic barriers, there are biases, right? And you really cannot change these things overnight. It will take time, and it is going to take longer than what we are thinking, that these biases, stereotypes, etc., would just soon move out. It's going to take a long time. However, I think if I, as a woman leader, know someone who's going through this struggle, who's going through these biases and barriers, I think I hold myself responsible to walk up to that person and offer help. I think that's where we women can actually change things for others. Yeah. The society will do their bit. The organizations will do their bit. The entire human resource ecosystem is constantly working on making diversity and inclusion as a top theme. All that will happen. But I think when you got to do something, you got to do something, and you got to do it on your own as well. So my 2 cents on this would be that it's very important for we as women to offer help, to practice inclusivity with other women leaders or with other women who are trying to make it happen and make things easier for them, and create this this leveling, this play field for them, so that they can have equal opportunities and they can reach the process or take that leap a little faster, right? So I think while individual achievements are certainly worth it, and due respect to whoever spends a lot of time struggling to do that, but I think we women as women leaders can support others and make their life little easier, to make other women or inspire more women to kind of take on that journey. So that's what I think, Sudhanshu, and that's how I've always practiced things around me. The moment I see somebody struggling, the first thing is to help that person, okay, and share whatever I can share to make their journey slightly simpler. And other than what I would also like to add in here is that I think as we spoke about finding role models, and I think Neha brought in a good point. So that brought in a very important point, that it's not about women role models, men role models. It's about finding the role models. It's about finding whoever inspires you and can help you in that journey of yours. So other than finding role models, I think it's also important that you find allyship in people who can push you in this journey, people who can be your brand ambassadors, people who can help you in this journey. I think it makes it much easier than probably it can look like. So those are my thoughts, Sudhanshu, on this part.
So coming from my own personal journey, right? I prepared for my MBA when I was in a tier 2 city. I don't think I had those kind of opportunities then that could have actually led me to take an MBA decision or a career decision to step out of the country, which I really wanted to at that stage. And I feel there's so many women. I'm still very privileged of having had a lot of women mentors in my life, professionally as well as personally, who guided me and have helped me at various stages that, I'm bestowed to be where I am today. But then I feel that there are so many people in the country, given that 70% of our population is in the rural areas. And of course, if I say at least 40% of that is women, most of them don't even have the opportunity to be getting basic education. I think from that perspective, there are so many talented women out there who are just not able to make it just because they don't get the opportunity. And if I have had the opportunity to be able to be successful and be where I am, then the very concession that I can make is for those people to just create these little opportunities of basic education, of being able to bring these women out of their homes, or even if they're not able to come out, at least be able to create some kind of a sustainable ecosystem where they can take care of their life as well as their work, and use their talents towards the betterment overall of the society is how I see it. I mean, it's amazing this year. If you look at the Republic Day, the whole theme was about empowering women, and the amount of effort that's actually going on in sustaining women through self-startups. If people wouldn't have actually given those concessions, and people who have the wealth and the luxury wouldn't have opened doors to some of these women who have now becoming more and more empowered, I think overall as a society we will not be able to grow to the kind of visions that the country obviously has for us. So that's where I think it's very important to just open up doors for people who really, really deserve that opportunity.
In your life, have you observed positive impact of women creating opportunities or gateways or to support other women?
Yes, I have very closely in my family. It is, and it's not something that is very recent, and so this is something probably a couple of decades back. My mother-in-law, she's a professional librarian, and she started off this startup about 18 years back called QMed Knowledge Foundation, and she wanted to do this very, she was very passionate about medical information research, and she has a family. She had 2 boys who were studying and a family to take care, and she was very skeptical, and she was in double minds to even start off this. It was my grandmother-in-law, which is her mother-in-law, who supported her with this idea. and she gave her that confidence. She gave her that emotional support, that go ahead, start. I'm there to support you at home. I so today QMed Knowledge Foundation is doing good. People across the country, almost every doctor in the country know about QMed, but it is not something. So obviously, my mother-in-law is the face of it, but she still believes that if it not been had her mother-in-law standing in for her and supporting her and giving her that assurance, you go ahead, I'm there to support you, QMed wouldn't have grown to this level, right? So, and this is something I'm talking about 2006, 7. That time it was a startup done at that time. So when people had not even heard of startups, right? So yes, I have seen it. And so in order to give back, my mother-in-law employs all women, apart from the apart from that one guy who has to do odd jobs. All the other employees are women, and she consciously makes that effort to give them that flexibility to work from home, come once a week or twice a week, because there are women who have to take care of their household also, and they can't do both. One for the other cannot be left. So that flexibility, that understanding, that's very important. And that's where I think, like Rosina and Neha said, that if I have had it, tough, doesn't mean I have to make it tough for the others. Maybe we find out those ways to make life easier for others, other women. And that would be the most appropriate way to support another woman.
So I'll tell you, my journey has been a little different. Even though the FTSE 100 companies that I have worked for, all the top management leaders were women, right? But call it fortunately, unfortunately, all the teams that I was a part of was majority of the boys team, because I've been in sales for 17 odd years. Mostly ended up in teams that was all boys and myself. So my navigation into the world of in the corporate world has not been really influenced by a lot of women, but actually I've had I've had a fantastic male bosses who really trusted my skill set, what I got to the table, and actually really accelerated my growth in a lot of different ways. So yeah, I mean it's very different. Where I would probably would have had a traditional answer, but most of the growth that I had seen in my sales career was actually driven by male leaders, and who was super supportive. And I could I could see that. But all those organizations were led by women, so maybe somewhere down the line the culture that the women were building from top down perhaps also influenced their habits, I could say. So some of the top companies I'm talking about, so I feel perhaps there could be a indirect way where the culture was maybe coming top down from the women who led the organization. But for me, all boys team and myself, I feel I was very lucky that they accelerated my growth and supported me in my journey. So yeah, that's a bit of my crazy journey out there, where I had equal role from men and women who supported me.
What specific skill sets do you consider crucial for leadership success? What are the skill sets that people should invest in when you talk about building leadership skills?
That's a tough question, right? Because you just come with so much of experience, and then to get to a leadership role is a completely different set of skill sets than what you've ever learned in all the years of being an individual contributor, right? I think the most important part is, first of all, the very fact that you're a leader, which means that you are dealing with people, right? You have to have a people-first approach. You can't be a leader if you cannot be empathetic with your people. And you really need to create a team or a group of people around you, be able to create that psychological safety where people are able to open up to you, become vulnerable if required, because that's the only way that they can learn. So there's a lot of time, I think almost 60-70% of your time goes in nurturing the people who are working with you, creating that safety, giving them opportunities to grow, and letting them make those mistakes, and learning from them, right? I think that in itself takes a lot of skill. So that's definitely one. Second is that you should be the first one picking up change. So if you really want to make change happen in your organization, then you should be the first one stepping into it. And I think a lot of leaders who lead by examples are able to overcome resistance to change much faster because they are the first ones to incorporate it. And then there are also people who would actually involve everybody, as if it's some kind of a game, or it's just something fun if you actually change. So they're able to bring in a lot of those positive aspects. So of course the second part is adapting to change, right? And the third thing is of course continuously learning. You have to be ahead of your game all the time. You have to be the first one, as I said, adapting to change, which means that you also have to be the first one figuring out where are your pitfalls. You've got to be aware of your challenges or your areas of improvements, where you can then keep learning and growing, and ensuring that your team also does the same, so that as an organization then you're growing together. So I think those are three things that I feel are very critical skills for leadership.
Thanks, Sudhanshu, for that question. I think my take on this is probably going to be slightly simpler, but let me share this. I think yes, we got to have certain basic qualities when you are in the leadership role, and that's very very important. That you got to be empathetic, you got to communicate well, etc. Right? But I think most importantly, as a woman leader, it's extremely important for you to accept and embrace that you are in that position, right? You are in control of it and you can do it. That's where I think it starts from. And if this ground rule is set, I think things just flow in the momentum. A lot of coaching when I do with women, I see a struggle in this space. They have the best communication abilities. They create the best BRD documents, best processes, right, on paper. Everything is wonderful, perfect. But when you really dig deeper to find out what are those inhibitions, these are the inhibitions. Embracing the fact that, hey, you are a leader, you are in a position to lead people, you can take right decisions, you can contribute, you are valuable, is the space to start from. And this is what I think that is very critical to be successful in a leadership role.
Being in control and telling yourself that you are at the right place, you are at the, you have in it what it takes to be to deliver. Not just that, but also despite continuous scrutiny, you trust your own instincts.
Yeah, so Sudhanshu, to your point, yes, I think having said that, how do you do it, right? That's very important. How do you really do that? How do you believe in yourself that you are in control, etc.? I think it's a daily journey. It's a daily decision. It's a daily step you need to take. However, I think more than always internally thinking, how do I do it? It's extremely important to reach out and ask for help. I think that's where we sometimes take a step back and think, oh, what can I do? Should I reach out? Should I not? Should I ask somebody, how do I do it? I think when you break that barrier, there are a lot of people around you who will be ready to help you day in and day out to understand how to do it. Yeah, you may not have these answers. It's a daily struggle. It's a daily journey, as I say. So when I was in this space where I became a leader for the first time, I had these inhibitions, and especially so my leadership journey started overnight. I was working for a process where I was part of a team, and next day I come to work, my boss calls me in the cabin and says that your boss has been fired because of some XYZ legal matter. And I was like, okay, so today you are in charge of 56 people in your team. And I was shivering. I was like, I have never done this. I don't know how to do it. So my boss asked me only one question. Do you think you want to do it? I said yes. Do you think you can do it? I said, yeah, 50% I'm there, 50% I think I need help. Said, that's it. Let's on board. Let's get onto this journey. Let's get you support. We will form, somebody who mentors for you who will help you in this journey. But this will only happen if you ask. I'm not going to give it to you. You have to tell me what you want. You have to tell me what support you need. So, circling back to your question, Sudhanshu, I think it's extremely important that we reach out, ask for help day in and day out, and not just as an annual affair, so that you can daily make those little changes which can make you successful in your leadership career, in your leadership roles.
Yeah, I think when it comes to telling yourself you can do it, it's of course a practice, a ritual, a habit that you inculcate with time. And for me, what has actually worked every time when I have been into a situation where I have questioned back myself, what really has worked for me is looking around and having those conversations with people I trust, to understand more diverse perspectives, to get more deeper conversations going, as in what could be the pros and cons of it. And I think above all, keeping myself away from this, as a woman, will I be able to do it? I keep myself more or less neutral almost 100% of the time. It's not about as a woman I will be able to do it. It's about me, whether I will be able to do it or not, because in my career I have experienced so much of me doing it with full-fledged intent, passion, and I've been in control of a lot of things throughout my career in the past, that I know I will be in control with time. It's just that I have to, in that moment, accept it and then take a pause, figure it out, and just go for it. So that has been my go-to approach every time I find myself in that situation.
Being in control and telling yourself that you are at the right place, you are at the, you have in it what it takes to be to deliver. Not just that, but also, despite continuous scrutiny, you trust your own instincts.
Sure. I think I'll have 2 or 3 things to tell all the young leaders. Firstly, there is no age for leadership. There's only one mantra to leadership. That is, if you the mantra is understand, then be understood, right? So if you start understanding people, perspective, challenges, rather than always have this notion saying, look, understand me versus what's in front of me that I need to understand, leadership can happen at, you can become a leader at any age. So age is not at all a factor to consider when it comes to leadership. Leadership is all about, a mindset, understand rather than being understood. Second, I think I'll just pick up from Rosina's point that yes, you are going to doubt yourself every single day that do you deserve this, or do you deserve to be here? Are you a capable leader or not? Am I doing well? Am I not doing well? So I'll say reaffirmations, right? Take a 29-day reaffirmation challenge. You're forming new nodules in your head. Each time you're sort of creating information, keep telling your nodules that you're awesome. You can do this. You can handle this. You're going to fall. You're going to get up. You can do this each time, right? Start trusting yourself. So that 29-day reaffirmation challenges, you're forming these fantastic positive nodules in your brain who are saying that you are in it for the long run, right? So make sure that you trust yourself. And I think, just in the process, trust yourself. If you're credible, you work on your gravitas, you have that sense of ownership. I think doing by two or three of these things, I think, you can just ace your role as a leader. So I think that's what I would recommend.
I think Reba has summarized it very beautifully. I think women all of them should remember that sky is the limit. Nothing can stop them from achieving what they want if they just make up their mind. And I think, as a women, we are, uh, all of us are like super women. We can do whatever we want. It's just in us. We have to make up our mind, and then we can, we would be able to do it. And of course, today the opportunities are, there's a plethora of opportunities for women also. So that I think it's a wonderful time to be in, to have these kind of opportunities laid out in front of us. And I think it is about us to have that confidence that we can do it. There is nothing that age is no bar. Capabilities can be something that we can upskill ourselves. Learning opportunities are plenty out there. There is a lot of support system, and like Razina said, you have to seek out support. You will get support. So I think all these are catalysts which can definitely enable women to achieve whatever they want to become fantastic.
And just to sum this up, Sudhanshu, sorry, just to sum this up, right? The data is saying, the reports are saying. I think even our Sanskrit, if you look at it, right, there's a fantastic shlok that I can say this right now that sums up. That says, Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devata, Yatra de na pujyante tatra nishvaleshu sarvakareshu sarvada. So reports are also validating what Sanskrit said, yonks ago, saying that where women are respected, good things happen, right? And we create our respect, we create our zones, the power of asking, as Razina mentioned, right? So we create that environment where we're respected, where we are, we are seeked, and we can add tons and tons of value. So I feel the data, the science, the Sanskrit, I think everything guides us in one direction, right? So I think these could be my parting thoughts on it.
Absolutely. So Sudhanshu, I think my 2 bits, because this is like a real life experience. When I started as a young professional, my journey was an overnight journey, right? So there are 3 things which I would want to say to young women professionals who are going to be looking forward to a leadership role. That yes, all that we spoke about today, communication, empathy, reaching out, excellent. I mean, that's the base foundation. But if I have to just leave them with 3 thoughts or 3 things which they should practice, definitely the first one would be network early. Extremely important to network early. Network is net worth. I think it's said and established. And I've seen a lot of young women professionals hesitate to do that, right? And I would say, please do it, right? Network early, 1. 2, find allyship. And that allyship can be your supervisor, your colleague. There's absolutely no gender element here. It can be anyone. But find an allyship who could actually support you, talk about you to 10 other people. That really makes a lot of difference, and it gives you a faster growth.